You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. I'm your host Adam today, and we're here to discuss the 0-0 draw against Man United. Obviously, we'll get our thoughts and opinions in regards to if we thought it was an unlucky draw, a bore draw, or just referees being pain in the backsides as ever. But joining me to discuss this, we have Robin and we have Kev. Kev, how are you today, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? It's a point against a team that are sitting third comfortably in the table. I think we all said at the start of the week we'd have taken a draw. So, yeah, it's one of them. It's just, yeah, we'll break down the game in a minute, but was it 3 points? Well, 2 points dropped.
Exactly, and that's what we'll come on to. And then, likewise, Robin, how are you doing today, mate?
I'm all right, mate. We obviously, stayed up for the weekend. Drove home, today. So yeah, it's a good, nice, enjoyable weekend sort of thing. Taking my time, rather than rushing it like normal.
Indeed. Well, let's jump into it straight away. Obviously, as Kev just mentioned, do we look at it as 2 points dropped, or do we look at it as a point gained? On the outside looking in, before we obviously talk about all the decisions that were just horrific throughout the game, 0-0 against Man United at any day, you'll take that, because Man United is still a very strong force, and obviously this season they've had a little bit of a resurgence about them. They wanted to prove a point and show why they are Man United effectively, aren't they? Kev, talk me through first half, your thoughts on that from our perspective.
I thought we were absolutely all over them. You look at it from a statistics point of view. In the first half, we literally gave them nothing. They couldn't break us down. They couldn't get into the box. Yeah, we were literally all over them. And for me, that was twofold. I think it was firstly a reaction to the Forest game back at home. And I think we just knew how Carrick was going to set up. So, yeah, I think it worked really well. We just lacked that clinical finish, in my opinion.
Yeah, spot on there, Kev, really. I mean to say, it's just a shame that chance early on felt to Siddiqui. Obviously, like the one against Villa felt at DR. It seems to be, the wrong people that's making them runs and getting the opportunities. But look, good football. I think we were very unlucky. I think we should have beaten them. I think on another day we do. It would be disappointed coming away with a draw against, Man United. Sort of shows how far we've come and have developed as a team.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. And then obviously, second half started off pretty much the same again. Once again, we're trying to shut them out, and I think it was not until the 85th, nearly 90th minute they actually started stringing passes together, shall we say? Because it just, to me, everything looked loose from them, and it didn't look. They wanted the game, if that makes sense. They were just like, we're happy in third, we're sentiment in third, similar to what we were last season. We're in fourth, we're going nowhere. Nobody's really going to knock us off our perch, so to speak.
I mean, we're the much better team, to be honest. I think the way that we played, we stopped them from, playing and looking good. They, like you say, they weren't really at it. It took until the 93rd minute for them to have their first shot on target. So, yeah, I just think we were the much better team on the day.
Beautifully put. I think, yeah, we outperformed them in every metric going. If it wasn't for the fact that Lamans had probably the game of his season, that could have been 3-0 by half time because he just got himself in all the right positions. I think Robin's right. I think that ball falls to someone else. other than Siddiqui, and it's probably a goal. And obviously, we'll talk about the second half in a minute. But the same with Robbie. There's a shot Robbie has which Lamins guesses right and gets it. So yeah, just for me, it's one of those sort of games that wasn't meant to be. But the bit that baffles me is when you look at the stats back and you think, how do they rate the likes of Bruno Fernandes so highly? Because for me, he delivered nothing, but yet they said he was one of the most progressive players in the game and created the most chances. By doing what? Crying about decisions. Because for me, that I felt that's all he seemed to do was rush the referee and try and force decisions. Look, we'll talk about the Angulo thing later on, but it was another case, like Robin said on previous pods, of a player desperate to try and get another player carded. And it didn't work. We ended up with no yellow cards. Funnily enough, they ended up with 3.
No, you've turned it nicely into what I wanted to discuss. It's bringing us lovely into obviously the ref discussion we all wanted to have in regards to this one. For me, I want to just start off by just in regards to Robbie. Why is Robbie's strength getting pulled up? If you've got a player that physical and can prove that he can get past men, then when he gets fouled, give the foul. Look at Mateta. Mateta will run through 2-3 defenders with his pace, with his strength. He gets brought down. Okay, there's been a foul. Why then, when it happens to the likes of Robbie, oh no, Robbie's just bullying people, he's throwing people to the ground. I'm sorry, but if you look in that game, I'm going to touch on Martinez first. I'm not going to talk about what Martinez did in the box, which never got looked at in Match of the Day, or just biased to Man United, clearly, because they didn't even bother showing it. But the first tackle that he put in from behind didn't even get looked at, and it was like, no, it's fine. It's Robbie. Robbie fell over his own feet because he's too strong. Where are they going to draw the line and going, one is brute strength and getting past people, and the other bit being there's clear and obvious fouls? If I may, like, I don't want to single you out, Kev. I'm going to come to Robin on it first, if that's all right. Because obviously, Robin, you've been coaching a lot and stuff like that. You've obviously seen different types of layers of strikers, strong, like big ones, small ones, tall ones, for example. What's the difference between Robbie and, say, Phillips, for example, just in stature and like that kind of fouling aspect?
Well, I mean, the thing is with you got to look at the sort of style of play. I mean, I just said the comparison that you'd have probably used is sort of like someone, like Quinn or, the likes of that, where they're there to hold the ball up and bring other people into play.
Yeah, thank you.
He uses his body well, but yeah, he does get fouled an awful lot. I mean, there was the incident with Luke Shaw. I mean, that's a penalty all day long, and the referee gives it against Robbie. Luke Shaw's not looking at the ball. He's got his arms wrapped around him. It's 100% a foul. That's where VAR needs to look at that, because that is what is a clear and obvious error, which is what VAR's brought in for.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, they got that wrong. It's like, Ahmad's handball as well. I mean, how far away does your hand have to be from your body now? Because I don't think he could have got his hand further away from his body, and yet they're saying that's natural. It's not natural, it's just that same thing where, the top teams get favoured, and this is why these teams are quite often at the top, because they're getting favourable decisions all the time.
Mm.
I mean, it's unfortunately with Robbie's style, because I say he is physical and he is going to hold the ball up and back into defenders and stuff like that. Look, I mean, he does the same thing. He grabs hold of a player's shirt and stuff. I mean, that's sort of 50-50 with Robbie all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see when there's blatant fouls as well, and that's what they've got to really start, looking at, and not just think, well, Robbie's big and strong, he's going down too easy. No, he's not going down too easy. He's going down because he's fouled. Yeah. And like you say, I mean, I don't understand how Martinez was on the pitch.
Yeah.
Because quite clearly, the referee never saw that punch.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the VAR doing there? This is it. This is what people say about the problem with it is being inconsistent. Obviously, I mean, I know it's not our game, but if you look at the Arsenal West Ham game and the goal that was ruled out there, Arsenal have been doing that to teams all season, and it's gone in their favour. One team does it against Raya, and it got and it's not. But so what happens is there. I mean, that point could be the difference between West Ham getting relegated and West Ham staying up.
Yeah.
And also, the extra 2 points for it could be the difference between Arsenal winning the title or finishing second. And if it's been happening all season, you can't just bring it up and give a foul, right at the end of the season for it. You've got to stay consistent throughout the year, and that's where we're having the issue now.
The
Indeed.
consistency is the
Kev Robin.
inconsistency, isn't it?
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head.
I mean, in the first half, Robbie has a shot and it flicks off Mount's wrist and goes wide. But Mount has his hand across his front. So fair enough. He's trying to keep his body, he's trying to keep everything in. But yeah, with the Ahmad one, it's behind him. In previous games against other teams, that's probably given. To be honest, that's probably given to Man United if it happens against one of our defenders. But yeah, it's the fact also in that build-up, there were 2 handballs, but VAR only looked at the Ahmad one. What about the first one? So do you know what I mean? There's a lot of things like that happened. Let's, briefly mention Cunha. Gets his yellow card in the 93rd minute for diving, but should have had a yellow card earlier on in the game for kicking the ball away when he conceded a free kick. Again, it's that whole thing of delaying the restart is a yellow card offence, but Cunha got away with it. And it's like, thankfully, none of our lads did this time.
Yeah.
But was it Siddiqui a few weeks back? Did it? He dinked the ball away slightly and there's a yellow card.
Yeah.
For me, it's one of these where, you walk away happy with a point because it's not a loss, but realistically, that should have been 3 points in the bag. And I think if the referee had got the decisions right, we would have probably come away with 3 points because I think, like you said, Martinez slapping Robbie around the face would have been a penalty and probably a red card. That changes the game completely. I'm sorry to say it, but Carrick's not tactically aware enough to cope with 10 men and a goal down. He would have struggled. He would have thrown everything at it. Or Fernandez would have tried his hardest to go and get a penalty as well, because that's what he's notorious for, isn't it?
No, you've hit the nail on the head there. I mean, that's why I wanted to bring up the 2, shall I say, what should have been the biggest talking points in the game. But that's why I mentioned match of the day being my typical match of the day in regards to going, let's concentrate about Angulo and Fernandez. No, I'm sorry, but look at Martinez as well. Then speak about Bruno Fernandes. So obviously, as I said there, Martinez, first of all, tried to take a swing at Robbie. Robbie was too strong and pulled away a little bit. Martinez caught back up and then slapped him in the back of the head. Robbie went down because obviously he felt the impact. VAR waved it away instantly. Referee, carry on. Come later on into the game, Bruno then claims Angulo's took an elbow to his face. Don't get me wrong, when you look at it back, yes, Angulo looks like he's going to take the elbow and swing it, but it goes nowhere near Bruno for Bruno to go down like he's just been shot by a sniper from 100 yards away. Where is then the yellow card for Bruno for simulation?
Well, I don't think it's simulation because quite clearly the forearm catches him. But, I mean, to me, it's like, it didn't seem that much at the time. And the replays I've seen back on it, it looks like Angulo's gone to just give him a little cheeky nudge in the shoulder. But Bruno's dipped his body down and it seems to come off his shoulder and then onto his cheek. But yeah, I mean, the play acting on it was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, to say it's it's just bizarre. Like I say, the referee's performance. I don't really want to talk about it because we played well, and this is it. We played really well, and I think that's what we should really be focusing on. But it's like little things with the referee that when we'd tried to take a quick free kick, he was being really pedantic about where the ball was, and it had to be in the right place, and we couldn't take it. And yet, Harry Maguire took a free kick about 10 yards behind where it was, and the ball was rolling, and he allowed that to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a lot of that. It was also the telling Roofs to hurry up with goal kicks. Yet Lamins was taking his sweet time for every single one of them.
Yeah.
There's just that lack of the consistency. It's if you're going to police it for all, not just when it suits. Like the half-time whistle. We've got a corner to take, and the referee goes, "Now that's it, half-time." What? That's why Xhaka was fuming, because he literally went to go and take the second corner, and the referee went, "Nah, half-time."
Yeah.
I get you can't keep the game flowing and keep going, but we had a corner to take.
Yeah. In an attacking mindset, you just play that last attack. If it comes to nothing, done. Blow the whistle, done. We've seen it before in games where, say, it's just before the end of half time, the corner comes in, gets cleared, the team's break, and then the whistle's blown. If that was the case, do it that way, whatever. But ultimately, Robin, as you mentioned there, we don't want to touch on refs too much on it because we'll be here all day once again with referees. Ultimately, though, for me personally, standout player of that game was Enzo. He covered every single blade of grass on that day, and he was just instrumental to quite a lot of things in that game. I just wanted to know if you guys had a different opinion on if anybody else stood out for you guys, other than me just obviously being biased for Enzo.
Enzo was, I think, hands above man of the match. I think he was, it just shows what we're getting when he can play in that number 10 role, which is what we need. We need to keep him there. He needs to, whatever he does to the team, that's the most important thing. Enzo was just phenomenal, I think, but I don't think anyone particularly had a bad game. I think the level from the entire team was up there anyway to what it should be. Obviously it was disappointing against Forest in the previous home game and that, but yeah, it's that's the sort of level that we need to be. It's just we need to find that week in, week out.
For me, Enzo did deserve the sort of like the plaudits from our side of things. I thought, to be honest with you, I thought Lucha played really well for a cameo appearance.
Yeah.
Xhaka and Sadiki, it worked. I think overall we played brilliantly. It's just we lack that one moment, if that makes sense. And yeah, unfortunately, the pundits' way of putting it would be, well, Lamins and probably Atwell are the two players of the match.
Indeed, mate. Indeed. And I think the last thing I really want to touch on there today, I think we've pretty much covered everything, is obviously the club's announced today that they are doing some restructuring within the stadium. I think making it better for next season. So some I think it's new facilities and better stuff in the stadium. I don't know if it's something to do with the pitch again or trying to spice things up. And also they're doing stuff with the academy as well. So to make these once again more and more state of the art facilities. And to me, I think that's the club as well saying the ambition is very high, and this is what we want to achieve. We want to get the top level talent, likes of the Granit Xhaka's coming in over the likes of the young hungry talent like Angulo. What's your take on it, lads? Because obviously we know we've got world class facilities as it is. This is just kind of like the club putting the final tweaks and touches really to say, look at us, we're an attractive club to come to.
Oh, I mean, yeah, for the academy and that, I mean, that's where obviously the players spend most of their time. They talked about putting a new pitch down and stuff like that. Obviously, modernising it and modernising the stadium. I mean, the academy is more to show the facilities for the, players that we're getting, to prove that we are. I mean, obviously, it's a top class academy anyway, but I think the ground improvements are more to do with the fans. I mean, that obviously, you know, obviously this season you've noticed it from previous seasons a lot more because obviously most weeks now it's a sellout and you know half time to try and get to the toilet, or try and get a bit of refreshment and stuff like that. There's just so many people there. There does need to be some kind of modernisation of it. I know they've put in like these e-bars and stuff where people can go and get pints and that, and you can order it before the half time and stuff like that. But it's just that space now just doesn't seem anywhere near big enough.
Yeah.
Exactly what they said it's going to be, isn't it? It's going to be a sort of the concourses are going to get a bit more of a tweak. The advertising boardings around the ground are all going to go digital because that's the way of the modern game now. You look at the likes of City and places like that, it's all digital, it's all quick rotation adverts, it's the traditional, Hayes Travel just being there and such funeral directors being there. Those days are gone. That's what this is now. It's all about the digital generation and probably a bit more animated graphics. So that's part of it. They've said they're going to build more premium sort of boxes and hospitality packages. So that wouldn't surprise me if you don't see some of the boxes changed in size to create more of them. There's a lot of little tweaks like that are going to happen, aren't there? That's the one thing that Tom Burwell did say in the podcast he recently did was, you know, it's the one thing our club really lacks is a commercial clout.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I know it won't please every fan, but they've got to do what they've got to do. That's what pays for the players. It's that whole increase your commercial revenue and advertising and all that good stuff. And yeah, they've said they're going to change the layout of the academy and probably put more pitches and better facilities up there. They already have, one of the things when you watch any of the training videos, they've already done a lot of work up there now, but I think they're going to keep going with it. And then the last bit's changing things like Black Cat House. Obviously, that's above the club shop. They're going to revamp the offices up there again to make it probably more efficient and more productive from an admin side. So, yeah, the club are doing exactly what Premier League clubs should do. The last bits really are going to be turning around Bob Stokoe's statue and building Legends Way. That's probably the bit they haven't mentioned because they've already kind of talked about it a lot. But yeah, it's only going to be a good thing. I think, like you say, and what Robin's just said, that's where the players turn up every day for training. The academy's got to look first class so that when a player does come for a medical, they look at it and they go, yeah, I want to be here.
Yeah, indeed. Perfect. No, perfectly way to put that there, Kev. I think we've pretty much covered everything, to be fair. It was an enjoyable game all round, yes. 2 points possibly lost, but ultimately, as I mentioned before, a point against Man United is a point against Man United. We take that, we move on, and obviously we'll bring our preview for the Everton game later on in the week, which will be a nice one to discuss and have our thoughts. With that being said, lads, the good thing as well is with that draw against Man United, there's only one team in the Premier League this season that has beaten us both home and away, and that's Fulham. No other team has done it against us. So that in itself, for the first time being back in the Premier League, is an amazing stat. So hats off to the lads for being able to pull that little bit of an achievement off. Well, thanks for joining me, everyone. It means a lot for listening in. If you want to share it, Spotify, Apple, wherever, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcast from, feel free to ask us any questions, comment on stuff, ask us on X, Facebook, TikTok, because obviously Kev does the TikToks there. And if you need us, anything else, let us know. But thanks to you for joining me there, Robin.
No, thanks, Adam. It's been a pleasure, mate.
This one, and thanks to you, Kev.
Yeah, not a problem at all. That's what we're all there for, isn't it? It's like I say, it's hard to waffle about a 0-0 draw.
Indeed, indeed. And as ever, everyone else, we'll see you on the next one.